Love, heartbreak, and raw emotion collide in these unforgettable WLW dramas. From secret crushes to impossible choices, these stories don't hold back, and they'll leave you reaching for tissues. If you think you've seen it all, think again. These 10 realistic WLW dramas will pull at your heartstrings and stay with you long after the credits roll. Before we dive in, if you love films that actually make you feel something, hit that subscribe button right now. We cover hidden gems and emotional cinema every week. Okay, let's get into it. 1. Water Lilies, 2007. Let's start somewhere unexpected. France, 2007. A swimming pool. Water Lilies is director Céline Sciamma's very first film, and she made it when she was just 27 years old. The story follows 3 teenage girls on a synchronized swimming team during one summer. That's it. No big dramatic events, no huge fights, just the slow, uncomfortable ache of wanting someone who does not want you back. Marie is quiet and watchful. She becomes completely obsessed with Floriane, the most popular girl on the team. Floriane knows it, and she uses it. That is what makes this film hurt so much. It is not about villains, it is about real teenage behavior. Messy, selfish, and confusing. The film was made for about $1 million. It went on to win the CACD Prize at Cannes Film Festival in 2007. Small budget, massive emotional damage. 2. The Children's Hour, 1961. Now let's go back even further, to 1961. Black and white cinema, Hollywood. The Children's Hour stars Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine as 2 women who run a small school for girls together. Their lives are going fine, until one student tells a lie. One single lie. That lie spreads like wildfire through the entire town. Suddenly, these 2 women are accused of having a romantic relationship. In 1961 America, that accusation alone is enough to destroy everything they have built. Parents pull their children out of the school. Friends disappear. Their reputations are completely gone. But here is the part that truly breaks your heart. One of them realizes, far too late, that the lie was not entirely a lie. The film was originally a stage play written by Lillian Hellman in 1934. It was so controversial that it was banned in several cities when it first opened on Broadway. Audrey Hepburn called it one of the most difficult roles of her career. 3. Loving Annabelle, 2006. This one is quieter, but it hits just as hard. Loving Annabelle is set at a Catholic boarding school for girls. Annabelle is a new student, confident, rebellious, a little reckless. Her teacher, Simone, is reserved, careful, and deeply devoted to her faith and her career. And then these 2 people meet. The film does something smart. It never tries to make you forget the complications. The power difference is real. The religious setting is real. The consequences are always hanging in the air like a storm you can see coming from miles away. What makes this film so painful is that both characters are fully human. Annabelle is not just a troublemaker. Simone is not just a rule follower. They are 2 people caught in something much bigger than either of them. The film was made on a budget of just $250,000. Extremely low, even for independent cinema. It still holds a dedicated following nearly 20 years later, because the emotional truth of it never fades. The ending does not give you closure. It gives you weight. We are just getting started, and it is already a lot. If this video is hitting different for you, drop a comment below. Tell us which of these films you have already seen. We read every single one. 4. Lost and Delirious, 2001, Canada, 2001, a private boarding school in the middle of autumn. Lost and Delirious follows 3 roommates, Mary, Paulie, and Tori. Paulie and Tori are secretly in a relationship. Mary, the new girl, quietly watches their world from the outside. Then Tori's sister discovers them, and Tori, terrified of what her family will think, makes a choice that completely destroys Paulie. Paulie, played by Piper Perabo, gives one of the most raw and unfiltered performances of that entire decade. She does not just play heartbreak, she plays someone whose entire identity collapses. The film pulls from the 1951 novel The Gully of the Wild Goose, but sets it in a modern school environment. That contrast, old-fashioned pressure inside a modern world, is exactly what makes the pain feel so current. This is not a slow burn, it is a wildfire. The final act of this film is genuinely difficult to watch, not because it is graphic, but because it feels completely, horribly real. If you have ever watched someone you care about fall apart because of what other people think, this film will find you. 5. The World to Come, 2020. Now we move even further back in time, to the 1850s, the American frontier. The world to come is set in a world of mud and cold and silence. Two farm wives, Abigail and Tally, live in neighboring properties with their husbands. The land is hard, the winters are brutal, and both women are deeply, quietly lonely. When they find each other, it feels like sunlight through a crack in a wall. The film is narrated entirely through Abigail's diary entries, written by Catherine Waterston, who plays her with extraordinary restraint. Every sentence in that diary sounds like someone trying to stay calm while everything inside them is falling apart. Casey Affleck and Christopher Abbott play the husbands, not as monsters exactly, but as men shaped by a time that gave them complete control over their wives' lives. The World to Come premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival in 2020. It was filmed in Romania, doubling for the American Northeast, in just 25 days. Disease, jealousy, geography, weather. This film stacks obstacle after obstacle between these two women, and in the end, nature itself becomes the villain. 6. Summertime, La Belle Saison, 2015, back to France, back to Céline Sciamma's world, though this time the film was directed by Catherine Corsini. Summertime is set in 1971. Delphine is a young woman from the countryside. She comes to Paris for the first time and immediately falls into the orbit of Carol, a passionate, energetic feminist activist. Their romance is electric. Paris in the early 70s was alive with political energy. Women were fighting for rights, for visibility, for change, and inside all of that, Delphine and Carol fall completely in love. But then Delphine's father gets sick, and she has to go home. The countryside is not Paris. Her family does not know who she really is. The farm needs her. Duty and love pull in completely opposite directions. This film understands something that a lot of romantic dramas miss. The thing that breaks people apart is not always hatred. Sometimes it is just life, just distance, just the weight of what other people need from you. Summertime was released to strong reviews across Europe and earned Isia Higelin a César Award nomination, France's equivalent of the Oscars, for her performance as Delphine. The ending leaves you with a hollow ache that takes a while to shake off. 7. Disobedience, 2017. This one arrives with a specific kind of heaviness. Disobedience is directed by Sebastián Lelio, the Chilean director who also made Gloria and A Fantastic Woman. It stars Rachel Weisz and Rachel McAdams, and it is set inside a close-knit Orthodox Jewish community in North London. Ronit comes back to her community after years away, following her father's death. Her father was the beloved rabbi of the congregation. She left under difficult circumstances and was never fully forgiven. Back home, she reconnects with Esti, her childhood friend, her first love, who is now married to a mutual friend and living a deeply observant religious life. What follows is not a simple love story. It is a film about identity, about the parts of yourself you bury to belong somewhere, about what it costs to be accepted, and what it costs to walk away. Rachel McAdams, speaking about the role, said she spent months studying the religious customs and rituals to make sure the portrayal was respectful and accurate. The film was based on Naomi Alderman's 2006 novel of the same name. Alderman herself grew up in an Orthodox Jewish household, which gives the source material an authenticity that the film honors completely. By the end, both women have made their choices, and both choices come with a price. We have 4 films left, and they are the heaviest ones on this list. Make sure you are subscribed so you never miss a video like this. And if you are watching this with someone, now is a good time to get the tissues ready. 8. Carol, 2015. Carol is one of the most beautifully crafted films of the last 20 years. Full stop. Directed by Todd Haynes and based on Patricia Highsmith's 1952 novel, The Price of Salt. It is set in New York City in the early 1950s. Therese is a young woman working at a department store, unsure of who she is and where her life is going. Carol is an older woman, elegant, composed, and quietly trapped inside a marriage that is falling apart. They meet at a Christmas counter. One look, and everything shifts. Cate Blanchett plays Carol with a kind of magnetic stillness. Rooney Mara plays Therese with wide-open eyes and a heart that you can watch break in real time. What makes Carol so devastating is the historical weight behind it. In the 1950s, a woman could lose custody of her children simply for being who she was. That is not drama added for effect. That is documented history. The film was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Actress for Cate Blanchett and Best Supporting Actress for Rooney Mara. Patricia Highsmith originally published the novel under a different name because her publisher worried it would damage her career. She was right about the risk, but she published it anyway. Carol understands that kind of courage and shows you exactly what it costs. 9. Monster, 2003. This one is different from every other film on this list. Monster is not a love story in the traditional sense. It is a survival story, and the love inside it is real, complicated, damaging, and completely heartbreaking. The film is based on the true story of Aileen Wuornos, one of America's most talked-about criminal cases from the early 1990s. Charlize Theron plays Aileen, and she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for this role. One of the most physically and emotionally transformed performances in the history of the Oscars. Aileen is a woman who has experienced extreme poverty, abuse, and abandonment her entire life. When she meets Selby, played by Christina Ricci, she experiences something she has almost never had, someone who chooses her. That connection becomes everything. And because it becomes everything, it also becomes the thing that pushes the story toward its dark and inevitable conclusion. Monster does not ask you to agree with Aileen's choices. It asks you to understand how a human being ends up there. The love between these 2 women is real inside the story, desperate, consuming, and ultimately tragic. The film was made on a budget of just $8 million. Charlize Theron gained approximately 30 pounds for the role and spent months working with a dialect coach and a makeup team to physically transform. What she gives on screen is not acting. It is something else entirely. 10. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, 2019. And here we are, the last film on this list. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is directed by Celine Sciamma. Yes, the same director who made Water Lilies at the very start of this list. In the 12 years between those 2 films, she became one of the most respected directors in world cinema. And this film is the reason why. Set in late 18th century France, It tells the story of Marianne, a painter hired to secretly create a portrait of Eloise, a young woman who is about to be married against her will. To paint her, Marianne must observe her closely. She studies her face, her expressions, the way she moves. And then something happens that neither of them expected. The film has almost no musical score. Shyama made that choice deliberately. She wanted you to sit in every moment of silence, to feel the weight of every look, every pause, every almost touch. There is a scene near the end involving a piece of music, just one, and it will stop your breathing. Portrait of a Lady on Fire won the Best Screenplay Award at the Cannes Film Festival in 2019. It also won the Queer Palm, an award given at Cannes to films that represent LGBTQ+ stories with exceptional care and craft. Adèle Haenel and Noémie Merlant play the two leads. Their chemistry is built entirely on restraint, on what is not said, not touched, not allowed. The final shot of this film is 5 seconds long. It has been discussed, analyzed, and cried over more than almost any other ending in recent cinema history. You will understand why when you see it. Every single one of them is worth your time. Let us know in the comments which one hit you the hardest, or which one you are watching first. Like this video if it helped, and we will see you in the next one.